What's up? My name is Kevin King, and today I'm going to be talking about advice for beginners on the piano. I've been a piano tuner for the past 10 years, and so I meet people almost every single day that are just starting out on piano, and I get asked all the time, yeah, I want to learn to play, what do I do? My advice for beginners would be to see what's out there, really explore what the different features are of the different apps, of the different websites, even of hiring, a private teacher to come to your home or going to a teacher's home. They all have their pros and their cons. If you are going to hire a private teacher, I would say that teachers can only teach what they know. So going to a teacher that knows classical music, they're not going to be able to teach you much about rock or jazz or whatever it is that you want to learn. So another piece of advice for beginners is to know exactly why you want to learn to play the piano in the first place. Sometimes, if you're a guitar player and you always thought it would be cool to be able to play the keys. A lot of times I talk to guys and they just think that it's cool. It looks cool when other people are playing piano, so they want to be able to do that themselves. It helps with memory and it helps with math and it helps with the brain, so it keeps your brain sharp. So that could be another reason why somebody would want to learn how to play. There's really just a number of reasons. So figuring out why it is that you want to learn how to play would be important in just helping you motivate yourself to put in the reps and to play the scales and to really learn this information. Okay, my next piece of advice for beginners would be to know what you want to learn on piano. Do you want to learn how to play classical music? Cool, there's a specific route that you should go in order to play classical music. Do you want to play rock music? Do you want to play jazz? Do you want to sample it all? I think that, everybody has their own journey. There are many paths to the top of the mountain, as they say. And just by starting somewhere, picking one spot, you'll learn something about music. And maybe you don't like it, and maybe you go another path. I started on piano when I was 11. My first instrument was actually violin when I was 10. And, that's just been my specific path. It wasn't until I got to college that I learned how to play the guitar. And that completely opened up my world to a different way of looking at music. I think a good analogy for learning how to play the piano or really any instrument can be compared to dancing. If you've ever learned how to dance, there's typically a basic step. I took ballroom dancing in college, so we learned the foxtrot, we learned the waltz, but we also learned West Coast swing. In all of these dances, there was a basic step or a basic move that was kind of like a home base that you always come back to. And then once you can kind of learn this first dance move and the base step, then you can go on and learn one trick. And then once you learn that one trick and you've mastered getting into the trick, coming out of that trick or that move, then you can then go on and add another move. So there is a baseline level of music theory knowledge that I think is universal across each genre, whether you're learning classical music, whether you are learning rock music, whether you are learning jazz, whether you are learning whatever it is that you want to learn. The language of music and the way that musicians communicate to one another is universal. There are fundamental theories called music theory, which combines different concepts, some of which I'm going to cover here shortly. But these different concepts are universal. You can talk to other musicians about. What is the key of a song? Another one would be the scale. What is the scale for that key? Another concept would be chords. What chords are you playing in that key? And those three major concepts, I think, is where any musician should start. Anytime you're going to play a song, a vital piece of information is what key is this song in? There are 12 notes in music, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, which is 7. And then there are 5 accidentals, which are called sharps and flats, but basically there are 12 notes. You can start on any one of those notes. And when you start on that note, that is called basically the root of the scale or the tonic of the scale. So say I'm playing in the key of C, C becomes our starting point. If I'm playing in the key of B flat now becomes the starting point. So the key is kind of like the note that the song is centered around. Okay, so once you know the key of that song that you're playing in, the next piece of information you need to know is the scale for that key. Now the scale literally is just 7 notes. In music, like I said, there are 12 notes. The scale narrows it down to 7 notes. So you're only going to be using these 7 notes in this song is kind of the framework that we're viewing this as. So if I'm playing in the key of C, for example, I know which 7 notes I can play and which 5 notes I do not play, basically. So once I know the key, I know the scale, what those 7 notes are, I now need to know what the 7 chords are for that key. So there's the key, the scale, and the chords. The chords, there's going to be 7 chords that you will use. Just as kind of like a basic framework. Now, of course, you can add other chords. There's borrowed chords, there's secondary dominant chords, there's all types of fancy chords with 6 and suspensions. But the 7 basic chords in a specific key are called the diatonic chords. And once you learn what those 7 chords are, you then start putting those chords together in chord progressions, which I'm not going to get into right now. So we know the key, which is the note that the song is centered around. We know the scale, which are the 7 notes in that specific key. And then we know the 7 diatonic chords that are specific to that key. Now, since there are 12 notes, you can start on any one of those notes. That means that there are 12 possible keys. So once you learn these 12 keys, what they are, what the scale is for each of these keys, and once you know what these diatonic chords are for each of these keys, you then have a baseline level of music theory knowledge to be able to effectively communicate to other musicians at a basic fundamental level. Then you can really go into any musical situation where they're saying, okay, we're going to play this song, here's what key it's in. I instantly know what the scale is, I instantly know what the 7 diatonic chords are, and I'm ready to go. And then from that framework, I can listen and add different things that I think will sound good depending on the context of that specific song. So if you have any questions about music, or if you want to know more about these concepts, definitely leave me a question in the comments section below. If you'd like to see more of these types of videos, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Until next time, take care.